it on.
Hello.
Good evening. Welcome, everybody, to the South Bend Community School Corporation Board Trustee Meeting Monday, November the 17th. It's 5:36. We now are calling the School Board Trustee Meeting to order. Ms. Hernandez, can you please call the roll?
Yes, good afternoon. Mr. Marcus Ellison,
Present.
Mr. Mark Costello,
Here.
Miss Kate Lee. Here. Dr. Sturg Green. Mr. Carlos Leyva,
Here.
Mr. Bill Snideki,
Here.
Dr. Jeanette McCullough.
And here comes
Present.
Mr. Green.
Can you call his name, please?
I was going to say. Dr. Sturg Green.
We have a quorum. We can now, seven votes. We can now move to the adoption of the agenda. It is recommended that the school board trustee adopt the agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Snideki and second by Mrs. Lee. Ms. Hernandez, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Ellison,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Miss Lee. Aye. Dr. Green,
Aye.
Mr. Leyva,
Aye.
Mr. Snideki,
Aye.
Dr. McCullough.
Aye, the vote to adopt the agenda passes unanimously. We now move, next on the agenda is the superintendent recognitions and announcements. Superintendent Eid.
Good evening, Dr. McCullough, board members, members of the public. We have a few announcements. Last week, we had signing day, and this is where high school athletes sign with colleges. We had a few at Adams, a couple at Washington, a couple at Riley. It was, I always used to tell people that is why one becomes a principal, just to watch the growth of the athletes and watch them go to college and compete. So that was last week. Also on November 11th was Veterans Day. We were supposed to have a celebration with the Civil Air Patrol. That was postponed. We will let you know when that will happen. Every high school had grade 8 informational nights where they invited their feeder schools. Everything was spectacular. Now, for the graduation and a few explanations as to why things are completely different from last year. The graduation dates are as such. Adult Ed, May 14th at Washington High School, 5 p.m. Rise Up and Virtual, June 6th at the Century Center at 10 a.m. Riley High School, June 6th at the Century Center, 2 p.m. Washington High School, June 7th at Washington High School at 1 p.m. John Adams High School, June 10th at Notre Dame Purcell Pavilion at 6 p.m. Now, let me give you some background as to why the changes in the commencement schedule. For the last 3 years, commencement was at the Compton Ice Arena, but that came at a very heavy price. The price was $140,000 for the rental of that property for the graduations. So we thought that was extravagant, maybe a little bit exuberant. However, we went to Mr. Tahmid, and we agreed to give each of the high schools $10,000 and have them choose their own venue. So Washington High School will get $10,000. John Adams High School will get $10,000. Riley High School will get $10,000. Rise Up Academy and South Bend Virtual, since they're smaller schools, they will get $5,000 each. That is a savings of $100,000. Now, John Adams decided to go to the ACC. The ACC rents for $16,000, and John Adams thought that they could raise the $6,000 extra that it would cost through the prom. So I hope that explains as to why we have it in different venues. That's all I have.
Thank you. We now have the opportunity to hear from visitors under action items 9.01, 9.02, 9.03, 9.04, 9.05, 9.06, 9.07, 9.08, 9.09, 9.10, and 9.11. At regular meetings, the public is invited to address the board for 3 minutes regarding action agenda items. Visitors wishing to address the board on action agenda items must sign the registration sheet prior to the meeting and state the action agenda item, which they will address. Individuals may speak only once during this section of the agenda. Individual speakers shall properly identify themselves after they approach the podium by stating their name and address for the record. Personnel issues are not to be addressed during open sessions of the school board. The board president may interrupt, warn, or terminate a person's statement if the statement becomes personally directed, abusive, or obscene. Do we have a sign-in sheet?
Yeah, no one signed up.
Okay, thank you. We now have the opportunity to hear from visitors on other items not on the agenda. At regular meetings, the public is invited to address the board for 3 minutes regarding items not posted on the agenda. Individuals may speak only once during this section of the agenda. Speakers shall properly identify themselves for the record and approach the podium by stating their name for the record. Personnel issues are not to be addressed during this open session of the school board. The board president may interrupt, warn, or terminate a person's statement if the statement becomes personally directed, abusive, or obscene. Anyone wish to speak? Seeing no one wish to speak, we now move to academic focus. Alternative education program. I see approaching is Mrs. Lee and Mr. Sims.
Good evening, Dr. McCullough, school board members, Superintendent Eid, and our guests, both virtual and present. This evening, we would like to bring forward the initial proposal for our alternative education program. As you've known for some time, that South Bend Schools has been tasked with designing something or a program that's responsive to our children, both in the traditional classroom and various alternative educational opportunities that we have available. This is yet another tiered support that we would like to submit to the Board of Trustees and the Superintendent for further consideration to, again, continue to move forward with supporting all of our children in South Bend Schools. I just want to take a moment and look at and review the core belief, believing that your children are my children, and that your school is my school. And last, your learning is my learning. And so if we encapsulate what that means, those 3 points, is looking at how do we address all the diverse needs of our learners, and what risks are we taking to ensure that all of our learners have that equitable learning opportunity. And so traditionally you hear, one might hear the term alternative education and think another exclusionary practice. Cornerstone Academy is a different design, and in that different design, it not only is designed to meet the academic needs of the student, but also the other barriers that might be present for them to be successful in the traditional classroom that they may be assigned. And furthermore, it also supports the family. So what is it that, how can we strengthen the relationships of the family? How can we target all barriers that might be present so that we can ensure that K-12 academic success? So I would ask that all the listening audience, again, both present and virtual, is to address this or approach this with an open mind, because this innovative approach to alternative education is not like that has the traditional title or description. And so now I will yield the floor to Mr. Sims, our Director of Secondary.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Good afternoon to Dr. McCullough and to the board members. And thank you for allowing us the opportunity to present to you what we believe is a unique program that will help revitalize our students that have most needs. In 2024-25, Southland Schools recommended 239 students for a recommendation for an expulsion. As of today, we are at 90. The concern with that is that these are some of the most needy students that we have. An expulsion does nothing more than put them out of the business of education, put them into a situation where they're on their own until they return back to their public home schools. Our process, our program, is going to look at a different way to help those students not only keep from being expelled from the point that they have been released, but also to bring them back in a program that helps them to gain confidence and academic stability. How does this program work? Essentially what happens is a student is recommended for an expulsion through the community control panel. One of two pathways occur at that point. Either the student returns back to its home school, or the student is out under the expulsion. We would like to offer a separate alternative. We're calling our program Cornerstone. And essentially what happens is that when a student is expelled, the parent at that point has an option. Do they continue the pathway of expulsion, or do they pick a choice that allows them to go into a program to strengthen their disabilities, their academic deficiencies, and their behavioral choices? There are two ways to get into the alternative program that we're calling Cornerstone. The first is through the community control panel. If the student is recommended for an expulsion, they are provided the opportunity for Cornerstone. The second is through the placement committee, which is made up of the principal, the collective teachers of that student, MTSS team, licensed social worker, counselor, and the administrative office. We do want to make it clear that any student that is enrolled into the program, the parent has the final decision whether or not that student becomes enrolled. Once enrolled, using a rubric, the students are placed into one of three categories, where they would either remain in the program for 3 weeks, which is the level 1, a quarter, which is level 2, or for the semester, which is the duration, the extent of which a student can be recommended for an expulsion. That would be the level 3. There is an AM and PM course or AM and PM schedule for the level 3, because that typically would revolve around our 10th graders and 9th graders. I failed to mention also the program is designed specifically for 6th through 10th grade students. Once they're enrolled, we issue every student a behavior inventory. We also perform a diagnostic math and language arts test to see exactly where they are. And also we believe that part of the expulsion issue is because students have a challenge with reading. We will also look at their Lexile scores and put together what we call a student improvement plan to help track them throughout the course of their program. Different from the traditional setting, students will have a 3-to-1 ratio with teachers. Their teachers at Cornerstone would be their homeschool teacher. The student is not enrolled into a new program, meaning that he comes out of his home school. He stays at his home school and continues with his teachers through what we're calling a mirror program, which is essentially Google Meets. The second teacher they work with is their AE teacher, which is their alternative education teacher placed in the room with them on a daily basis. And then the third is their pullout, which is a teacher assistant and the person that works with them on their social emotional piece. There is a point base in order for students to participate in the program. They are in control of their own assignment and their own placement. And essentially how this works is that we have a very small window for which them to make goals every day. When they make those goals, they receive points for them. Those points then move into points that put them in a situation where they can exit out of the program. The program is entirely up to them how fast they move and how fast they, what we're calling, exit. There's a basic scoring system. The system is very simple so that most students can track their data every day. There are only 4 categories a student must be concerned with while they're in Cornerstone. Their grades, behavior, CHIP, which is our social emotional piece, and their attendance. If they were to get 5 points out of each one of these categories and divide by the 4, they would have a 5. This particular student did not do well in his grades for this week, received a 1, a 3 in the behavior, 2 in social emotional working, and 5 in attendance. Divide that by the 4 categories, that student received a 2.75. We rounded to a 3. That's where that student landed for that year, for that week. Those points then move for the entire month, which give them access to exit out. The social emotional piece is what's different with the Cornerstone program. Here we work on looking at the core issues that are causing the student to be deficient in their academics and causing them to return for suspension or expulsions on a repetitive basis. CHIP, which is our Changing Habits, Increasing Potentials program, essentially helps us to develop skills with our students that have had multiple interventions in their homeschool that did not work. We also help them to learn how to deal with making better choices and how to look at triggers that may cause them issues that return them back to a suspension or expulsion category. Every one of our kids will receive a roundtable discussion in the first of their day. They will also have a pullout. There is a journaling that's required, which is a meditation time for them. They will be assigned a community project, or they will then opt for a financial literacy project, which is part of our entrepreneurship program with Cornerstone. How does a student exit from the program? Again, when the student enrolls, the parent is responsible for certain parts of their academic performance and their behavior. There's a contract that's signed with the parent. The parent then returns back to us at the exit. Once the points have been made, at that point the student will apply or applies for his exit from the program. A conference is held with the principal and the exit coordinator, and a plan is set up through the social worker from the school and the social worker from Cornerstone to set up a reunification process in order for them to continue their growth when they return back to their home school. Cornerstone is also a gradual release program, which means that once they're finished, we don't simply return them back to all of their classes. They will return to 2 classes at a time, come back to the program, then return to 4 classes, come back to the program, and then continue once they have finished up their entire reunification process. In conclusion, this program helps to support those students who we feel have the most needs. Instead of releasing them and letting them fend on their own, the program is designed to help them look for triggers, processes that can give them confidence when they get back into their classes, and hopefully not return back under expulsions and suspensions. Thank you.
I don't have a question so much as a comment, and thank you for the explanation in your PowerPoint. What I'm looking in your conclusion, and this is what I've said all along for the last 4 years, that we needed to have a placement for students to go to when they were expelled or suspended from school, as to having them just go home or roam the streets or whatever. And so I really like what you're saying in your conclusion here. It says students will no longer be regarded as losses to the district through expulsions or removal. Instead, they will receive a comprehensive support that enhances academic performance. And that's what we want to see. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Costello.
Are you thinking of a building, one school, or for an alternative school, or what are you thinking of as far as facilities are concerned?
So currently, we have a facility with Studebaker that we were looking at that has the space that's available. There's staff that's there, so we're trying to make sure that whatever we do is cost neutral, but it does provide us with the same as it would be in a alternative building. Ideally, we would like to have a place where we could have an office, multiple classrooms, and Studebaker at this point fits that bill.
Okay. The concern of some people in our community that they have expressed is that when we get in the area of busing students to a particular location, that their concern is that, well, I'll just come out and say it, that the black students will be the ones who will be shipped to these schools. And there's a concern about that. What do you say about to people who have a feeling or belief that it's just an attempt to have black students in one school?
Yes, so the program is set up where a parent has the final decision if the student is enrolled. So whether or not the parent makes the decision, it really lies upon the student and the parent. Cornerstone is also set up in that there are checks and balances so that that does not happen. And those checks and balances would be committees that are responsible for using rubrics to determine whether or not the criteria matches for the student to enroll. Once that criteria is looked at and that rubric is met, then that student and that file, that application, goes to the review committee at Cornerstone. So there are two separate committees that will look at whether or not that student is appropriate. Ethnicity may be one of those pieces where they look at, but the majority of this is really dependent upon the parent. The choice is either you're expelled or you have an opportunity to remain in your classes, continue your education, get assistance in your academics, reading, and hopefully with your social-emotional piece, and then return back to your building, possibly at a faster rate than you would if you were expelled. So whether it's black students or whether it's white students or whether it's Asian students, we're in a position where it really depends upon what that student wants to do for his or her own education. Do you want to progress or do you want to remain out? And if you remain out, essentially that's where we are now, an expulsion without opportunity.
Okay, but you do understand there is a concern in that area by people. I'm a firm believer the future of our educational system is going into the direction of software packages in classrooms. Mm-hmm. I'm more a believer in that after I retired, going back and assisting and helping as an aide in teachers' classrooms and seeing kids, the students who had difficulties listening to teachers lecture to them, but when it comes to software packages, they had no problem at all adjusting to that type of method of teaching. And I believe some of the students that in a standardized classroom who are being left behind are students with an alternative program could very well get back on track again. And I guess that's the reason why I'm bringing this up, is that we have come a long ways in this school corporation to adjusting to students' learning behaviors. And I think we're further ahead with some of our programs than maybe other school corporations, not only in the state, but around the country, which makes me feel good about that. I'd like to see alternative programs in every school. The transportation issue would not be a problem then. And I think the approach that we take on trying to identify which students need special programs in order to learn, I think would be the key behind all this, and what best information we'd have is from the teachers inside those buildings. But I'm not against busing kids to places either, as long as we have the belief that this is individual and has nothing to do with a racial component. Thank you.
So I'm sorry, anybody else have any questions, comments? Ms. Lee?
So what's would be the maximum number of students? Like, how do you start this? Do you pilot with a lower number? What is it? I mean, how do you see that rolling out?
According to the state, it's 15 students per teacher, and we're planning to start small, 4 teachers and 1 TOR for special education. So the maximum would be 60 to 70 to begin.
So that leads to my other question, the staffing model. How is the program staffed on site?
So currently, we are in the process of trying to look at securing teachers for that. We can begin the program through a virtual process, but much like Mr. Costello said, we want to try to avoid getting away from that digital type of instruction. So we are not looking to remove teachers or pull them out into the program. This is a pilot program at this point. We'd like to go slow to go fast so that we can figure this out and make sure that we do it right, so that when we are officially open to getting more students in for the next year, 25-26, 26-27, we'll have the pool of teachers that we hopefully can recruit over the summer and get that population of teachers in there that we need.
So are you thinking you start like with the 15 or like?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct. And we could start as early as January with the 15. We do have an opportunity to utilize teachers in the virtual school, which would help us. Plus, if you recall, that we do have the mirror process, where when you're teaching English, the students English teacher is teaching at 9. She pops up on his screen. He has his headphones on. That screen is not on the teacher, it's on the board. The student can hear and see everything that's happening in the classroom. When the class is over, he closes his computer, he does his work, and we have a process called ticketing, where he sends a ticket, which essentially is an email, to the coordinator and then to the teacher for their assistance. So the mirroring keeps the kid pretty much in his or her classroom.
Okay, and then what about the age spread? So like, would a sixth grader be in the same room with a senior? How does that?
No.
We would have the middle level grade configuration, and in the high school, the freshmen and the sophomores would be together.
Okay.
So the 6, 7, and 8 would be together as they are, and then the 9th and 10th as they are.
Okay. Thank you.
Dr. Green?
Can you talk a little bit about, so the mirror piece, does it allow for the student to meet with the teacher one-to-one and develop a relationship with that teacher?
So the student, upon the recommendation for the expulsion, they should have been in that classroom with that teacher until they had been removed. So they have the relationship. Hopefully it's not a jaded relationship, but if it is, through this process, and we've done something similar to this in our Bridge program, we've developed very close relationship with the teacher because the teacher is working one-on-one with that student twice a week. That doesn't happen in the traditional setting. So the relationships are developed. The students tend to work for their teacher because the teacher is there. When they have the planning period, their planning periods is usually the time where the teachers work with the students. The coordinator typically contacts the teacher at the home school, sets up the time for them to meet, and it's usually 35 minutes to an hour, and that's how the mirroring pretty much works.
And as part of that day, they come to the school. How does it start?
The day starts off with roundtable, which is where all the students sit around with the coordinator and they open up discussions about personal things, stuff that's going on in the community, issues going on nationally, but they have an opportunity to discuss their feelings and what's going on throughout the day. After that, they have their academic time, which is usually dependent upon when the teacher is teaching, and during that time, they will have math, language arts, core content instruction. Following that, we have what we call source or pull-out. So based upon the assessments that the students were giving at the beginning of their enrollment, if there's a deficiency in math or a deficiency in reading, or we have a socio-emotional piece that we need to address, that pull-out is done during that time. One of the other pieces that's exciting about Cornerstone is that we're looking to bring in a taekwondo individual to help teach the kids the processes on breathing, relaxation, thinking before you react, and giving them opportunities to do meditation. We've done this before. I've done this before in other schools where we purchase the gis for the kids, and it substitutes their art class, essentially, as that period of time. But the course of their day is built around strengthening their academics with one-on-one teachers, or 3-on-1 in this case, also looking at those triggers that may have caused them difficulty and returning back to school under suspensions. But it really works in the sense that it develops adult relationships with the students. They are in a situation where they have control of what they do. At this point, their points. At this point, their behavior. At this point, their academics.
So I thank you for that. And what's the reintegration process look like?
Yeah. So the bottom line to the whole program is about reunification. And the reentry is once those points are accumulated that the student has to receive, when they accumulate those points, they will have then what we call an exit interview. They apply to exit the program. So essentially it's like applying for a driver's license, applying for, they will have an application they fill out with their Cornerstone teacher. They will go over their points, they will go over their data, they will go over everything they need to do in order for the student to transition out. Once that is held, the parent is brought back in. There's kind of a celebration with regard to completing the program, and then their reunification starts and a gradual release, which means the student does not go back fully into all of their classes. They will go to 2 classes at a time, then return back to Cornerstone, where they will return with a progress report from both of those teachers in terms of how the behavior was for the day, how they were academically, and if there are any things they need to work on before they return. The second week, they return to 4 classes. Same process occurs until they are fully reintegrated back into their whole class. The important piece to know here also is that the social workers are responsible for the connect between both programs. So they will build a kind of a plan for continued success while they are transitioning back and forth between the 2 programs. Reunification is pretty much the goal. And again, the students have control over that. An expulsion can typically be for an entire semester. Based on their progress and their intrinsic motivation, they could end up going back into their building much quicker than the expulsion period.
And what sort of space is there for families or caregivers? Because they seem to be pretty key in supporting the children, but while they're in school, as well as the reintegration. But the triggering factors aren't simply in school.
And thank you, Dr. Green, because that is a very, very critical point, is the relationship between home and school. And so with our partners, as well as our social workers and our administrators, we must integrate the parents into this process as much as possible so that we can help also identify if there's something or a resource that might be that we may have to identify for the parent. If they would like to share that, we will have those readily available, whatever that might look like. But the parental piece is one of the strong pins of the success of this process. And so that will be clearly shared with the parents once they agree. And it won't be a heavy lift for the parent, but it will be an integral part of the process.
Part of the program also does require that the parent commits to at least 2 parental meetings with the coordinators at the Cornerstone. So we'll have parent meetings where we'll help them learn about the families, the dynamics of working with students that are challenging, but we will require that, or hopefully, they'll participate in at least 2 of those programs that we provide for them. Over the weekend, we tend to have had students having difficulties by getting reimbursed by the community or the city or whatever is going on in the home. We do also provide the parents with packets throughout the course of the weekend to work on for the family and for the student in order for them to continue the support that we are giving them at Cornerstone. So when they return back, we won't have lost them over the weekend, so long as the parent is committed to practicing these tools that we provide them for the week.
With intentional questions that lead to, these are what we provided in the past. These have not been responsive to the needs of the child or the family. So asking those intentional questions, what might we do better? Where are we missing the target? And how can we both redirect what we're doing to accomplish that 180 turn? So not all of it is in a tight package and a bow that we can present. We have to open our space also to be ready and to receive those suggestions and that information from the parents as well.
Yeah, I'm fully supportive of the idea that students should not simply be sent home. And in isolation, there's the shame that comes with that. There's all of the things that can occur in isolation, self-harm, as well as the other kinds of things that happen when kids are getting involved with other kids who are not in school. I think we know that. But I think what I keep wanting to get at is the environment in which people are literally wrapping their arms around the kids. And when I think about the reentry, I think about all of the people who know this child. And the child needs to know that all of the teachers, the counselors, the administrators, they're there to ensure success. And, I think it's really important to lift up those points because they're going to need that. And whether it's 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 9 weeks, maybe we should be thinking of the program not only in terms of points, but will this be the kind of alternative program where the kids don't want to leave? Because they do go to the virtual school. There are kids who can't handle the kinds of relationships that exist where they're, bullied and so on, and where their peers are coming from neighborhoods into the schools, and we know what's going on there as well. So that's the way I would like to think of it, is let's make this a program where kids just don't want to leave. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to, but they have to also know that where they're going back to, they've got a whole group of people who say, I believe in you, I get you, and I'm going to make sure you graduate. Mm-hmm. So thanks for your efforts.
Hold on just a second. Mr. Ellison needs to speak. Mr. Ellison?
Yes, I want to thank you. I thought the presentation was very good, as well as the additional information you passed out that was printed to the board. I really like everything I've heard so far, and I think that it would be, this is another tool, but a very good tool, an option to give parents. One of the benefits and strengths I think we have as a corporation is we have so many, the magnet schools, you've got Rise Up, you've got virtual school. We have a lot of different options for how parents can choose to see their children be educated, because we have a very diverse student body, not just in terms of, race, demographics, but in everything. And not every student, learns one way or the other. So the more very, very good, very, very detailed, very, very positive options we can give to some parents, it is. For some kids that are going to be, looking at expulsion from school, anything that we can do to keep them in school in some fashion, I think is positive. And not every kid's going to go and thrive if they go to virtual. Rise Up isn't for every kid. This magnet program or that magnet program is not for every kid. But for some of our kids, this might be what they need at the time that they need it. And so being able to have that and offer that, I just think is good. And the fact that it's, the child has control over when they go back, the parent has control over whether they want to do it, does, I think, at least help alleviate some of the concerns about, making sure that it's applied fairly and equally, in terms of race and other kind of things like that. Obviously, we'll need to track that data and stuff, and this shouldn't be an alternative for simply leaving a child in the school in the first place. But it seems it's clear it's not. If it's, you go to any parent and say, well, this is an alternative to expulsion, a lot of them might say, well, this sounds a lot better than my child just sitting at home. You don't have to do it, but here's one more option, one more tool that you can have. And I can imagine for some kids, this is going to be exactly what they need. So I think, starting it in January, getting it rolling, learning from that aspect, like you said, with a small, soft rollout. But ideally, this would be something that eventually, we'll have very few people that are truly, we have to expel or be gone completely from a corporation, because we've got another really good tool that I think will save and provide a great alternative for a lot of people, so that when they do go back to their home school on a permanent basis, they're in a much better shape to be successful in a way that they weren't there the first time. And I think ultimately, in terms of continuing the graduation rate, in terms of continuing to provide what our children need, it's always good to have one more really good option, one more really good tool available. So I commend you for, coming with the idea and presenting this to our board, and I, would enthusiastically support it.
Thank you. Ms. Lee?
A question on the reintegration in the school. Who will work with the homeschool to make sure they're aware of what they need to keep an eye on, or what the student has achieved while they've been in the alternative program?
So with the exit process, there's a requirement that the social worker, the licensed social worker at the Cornerstone building, work directly with the licensed social worker at the high school. A plan is created for his or her reentry back to the building. Part of the process by which we ask that they do a community service is to keep them connected to Cornerstone until that community service project is done, which also connects them to both the social worker in both buildings. So the support plan that's developed for them, part of that is a community project, and part of that is just a check-in basis. Usually we start off with 2 weeks, then we move into a semester, or a quarter rather, and then we hopefully will wean the student off.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We can now move on to the consent agenda. It is recommended that the School Board of Trustees approve the consent agenda. Agenda items 8.01, 8.02, 8.03, 8.04, 8.05, 8.06, 8.07. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. Green, second by Mrs. Lee. Are there any questions, concerns? Mr. Hernandez, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Ellison?
Aye.
Mr. Costello?
Aye.
Ms. Lee?
Aye.
Dr. Green?
Aye.
Mr. Leyva?
Aye.
Mr. Snedecki?
Aye.
Dr. McCullough?
Aye. The vote to approve the consent agenda passes unanimously. We now move to action items, to approve the action items, action agenda items. It is recommended that the School Board of Trustees approve action agenda item 9.01, authorization to issue preliminary notice of consideration of non-renewal cancellation of certain administration contracts. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Snydecki, second by Mrs. Lee. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I wonder if the superintendent could help us understand something about this idea that this is a preliminary notice, that this isn't the notice itself. So can you say something about what we're voting on?
Yes. Some administrative contracts had a salary for a specific position, and in order to bring, and these administrators are in a different position now, so in order to bring them within range of the salary, we have to basically non-renew the contract for their previous position and rehire with the new salary range for the new position.
Any other questions?
Yes. When would these letters need to go out by?
Okay. The final notices have to be made by March 1st. Now, some administrators will have to get them in December, authorized in January, and voted upon by the board in February. And the notice, with the final notices given out before March 1st.
And I know this is preliminary, so when are you planning to send these letters out then?
I will defer to Attorney Agostino on this one, since we have to make sure that everything is done in
Do you have
order.
a rough idea, Pete, when?
So there's there's two deadlines, and to elaborate on Mr. Eads' comments, state law does require a preliminary notice to be sent out first, and then the notice. And oftentimes, between the preliminary notice and the notice deadline, changes occur that make the notices not necessary. But you can't get to the notice point until you do the preliminary notice. So the preliminary notice, there's assistant principals, and assistant superintendents. That deadline is the March 1. They have to be given that notice, preliminary notice, at least 30 days before that. So our objective there would be before February 1, so probably sometime by mid-January. There are another set of individuals that may hold director's position. They have a deadline of February 1, so we would intend to give any preliminary notices 30 days before that, so we would be aiming at mid-December to meet those deadlines.
So presumably nothing will be going out in the next 2 weeks?
Probably not in the next 2 weeks. By December 15th, there may be some preliminary notices that would go out.
And if any of these notices need prior board approval, we would come to you on the December 17th, I believe, or December 15th board meeting.
Any other questions?
And just to clarify then, so is there the preliminary, the board is essentially approving your ability to identify those people who would be on the non-renewed list, but at the same time, anyone on that non-renewal list would have the ability to speak to the board, and if not necessarily challenge it, to try to understand something more about why they're on that list. But from what I understand, people on that list right now are making salaries that are not in line with what they're actually doing.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, concerns? Ms. Hernandez, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Ellison,
Nay.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Miss Lee,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Aye.
Mr. Leba,
Abstain.
Mr. Snedecki,
Aye.
Dr. McCullough.
Aye. The vote passes, 5 votes, 1 abstention, and 1 nay. It is recommended that the School Board of Trustees approve action agenda item 9.02, approval of a special purchase from Train US Incorporated for chiller replacement, Phase 3 project. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It was moved by Dr. Green, second by Mrs. Lee. Are there any questions? Seeing no questions, Mrs. Hernandez, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Ellison,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Miss Lee,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Aye.
Mr. Leba,
Aye.
Mr. Snedecki,
Aye.
Dr. McCullough.
Aye. The vote to approve action agenda item 9.02 passes unanimously, 7 votes. It is recommended that the School Board of Trustees approve action item 9.03, approval of agreement with Bryan and Jones for district-wide track and tennis court renovations. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. Green, second by Mrs. Lee. Are there any questions? Ms. Hernandez, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Ellison,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Miss Lee,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Aye.
Mr. Leba,
Aye.
Mr. Snedecki,
Aye.
Dr. McCullough.
Aye. The vote to approve action item 9.03 passes unanimously, 7 votes. It is recommended that the School Board of Trustees approve action agenda item 9.04, approval of quote from Fitness and Exercise Solutions for John Adams High School, weight room flooring. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned by Dr. Green, second by Mrs. Lee. Are there any questions? Ms. Hernandez, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Ellison,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Miss Lee,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Aye.
Mr. Leba,
Aye.
Mr. Snedecki,
Aye.
Dr. McCullough.
Aye. The vote to approve action agenda item 9.04 passes unanimously, 7 votes. It is recommended that the School Board of Trustees approve action agenda item 9.05, approval of quote from Fitness and Exercise Solutions for John Adams High School, school weight room equipment. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. Green, second by Mrs. Lee. Are there any questions? Ms. Hernandez, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Ellison,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Miss Lee,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Aye.
Mr. Leba,
Aye.
Mr. Snedecki,
Aye.
Dr. McCullough.
Aye. The vote to approve action agenda item 9.05 passes unanimously, 7 votes. It is recommended by the school board to approve action agenda item 9.06, approval of service agreement with Tyler Technologies Incorporated for student transportation bus routing software upgrade, annual increase cost and one-time implementation cost. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned by Mrs. Lee, second by Dr. Green. Are there any questions? Ms. Hernandez, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Ellison,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Miss Lee,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Aye.
Mr. Leba,
Aye.
Mr. Snedecki,
Aye.
Dr. McCullough.
Aye. The vote to approve action agenda item 9.06 passes unanimously, 7 votes. It is recommended by the school board trustees to approve action agenda item 9.07, approval of resolution for Dickinson Academy to switch extracurricular ECA bank account from PNC Bank to Everwise Credit Union. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned by Dr. Green, second by Ms. Lee. Are there any questions?
I guess the question would be why?
Want to move?
Pardon me? Go ahead.
Yeah, why are we doing this?
Mr. Tucker is right here, along with Mr. Sims.
Good evening. There were 5 specific reasons why we wanted to move from PNC to Everwise. One was convenience. Everwise Credit Union is in closer proximity to Dickinson Academy, making deposits and in-person banking more convenient for school staff. 2, timeliness. The school is currently updating account signers due to the change in administration, principal, assistant principal, and treasurer, making this an ideal time to execute a bank transition. Number 3, efficiency. Everwise Credit Union offers electronic correspondence and services that will improve administrative efficiency for the school principal and treasurer. Number 4, error reduction. The school has experienced significant balancing and accounting problems with PNC Bank, specifically related to Everlink payments for officials being processed incorrectly. And number 5, corporation alignment. The South Bend Community School Corporation utilizes Everwise Credit Union for its primary banking, and this change will allow the corporation's business office to provide better, more integrated support to Dickinson Academy.
Thank you.
Everrise was the old Teachers Credit Union, right?
That's correct.
They got bought out or what?
I believe so.
They just changed their name.
Huh?
That's
They
correct.
changed their name.
Yeah. Any other questions?
If there have been issues with PNC Bank in terms of processing, like referee, are there other schools that still use PNC, or have you looked at that throughout the corporation?
Yeah, I think part of the issue is that it doesn't connect very easily with the event link process, which is what most of the schools use for their athletic programs. Everwise does have a very smooth process. It's just going to take some time for the previous bank to get to that place. But as of right now, if we were able to make that switch, we would solve a lot of the issues that we're experiencing with regard to our athletic and payment schedules.
Any other questions? Ms. Hernandez, can you please call the roll? Thank you.
Mr. Ellison?
Aye.
Mr. Costello?
Aye.
Ms. Lee?
Aye.
Dr. Green?
Aye.
Mr. Leva?
Aye.
Mr. Snedecke?
All right.
Dr. McCullough?
Aye. The vote to approve action item 9.07 passes unanimously, 7 votes. It is recommended that the School Board of Trustees approve action item 9.08, approval of resolution to approve fund transfer for Washington High School fundraiser proceeds. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Snydecke, second by Mrs. Lee. Are there any questions? Ms. Hernandez, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Ellison?
Aye.
Mr. Costello?
Aye.
Ms. Lee?
Aye.
Dr. Green?
Aye.
Mr. Leva?
Aye.
Mr. Snedecke?
All right.
Dr. McCullough?
Aye. The vote to approve action item 9.08 passes unanimously, 7 votes. It is recommended that School Board of Trustees approve action agenda item 9.09, approval of the E-rate eligible REF. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions?
What is it? REF? Or whatever.
Can someone explain that?
It's a RFP, request for proposal.
RFP.
Yeah. So this is allowing the issuance of criteria for people to submit proposals in response. I think Mr. Monger is here, can explain further.
Yeah, we're just requesting proposals to replace our wireless access points at all schools, along with some structured cabling in a few buildings.
Any question? Any other questions?
Basically, you see those boxes there, they're for the Wi-Fi access. They all need to be changed, so we're getting a request for proposal from different companies to see which one would be the best.
Any other questions, comments?
I'm glad everybody knows what we're voting on now.
Ms. Hernandez, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Ellison,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Ms. Lee,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Aye.
Mr. Leba,
Aye.
Mr. Snedecke,
Aye.
Dr. McCullough.
Aye. The vote to approve action agenda item 9.09 passes unanimously, 7 votes. It is recommended that the school board trustees approve action item 9.910, approval of the Beacon Health System agreement for school nursing services. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Mrs. Lee, second by Dr. Green. Are there any questions?
I hesitate on this one. I guess I don't think I was gonna ask the table it, but it's not. I just don't think we had enough information to make a full decision on it. The whole goal was to increase the nurses' salaries, the main reason is to fill all the positions in every school. What was going on since 21 or 22, we have 8 to 15 empty buildings without nurses. It's bad enough having no nurses, but then we're paying for them. So this contract, they kind of settled that, but I don't think that they got step raises like our teachers do. But when they proposed it to us, I think everybody on this board agreed that they thought these prices they were giving were the raises they were giving to the nurses. And that's actually not happening. They're getting a raise, but it's going to depend on how many years you got. So that $39.50 that they proposed that was going to be a raise for RNs ain't $32.50. That's for if you got 20 years as an RN. So that's still pretty low salary for an RN nurse with 22 years. So they're all getting raises, but I asked a question. I'll let you answer it. An RN that comes in for 2 years instead of $39.50, what does that person get?
I know that they gave us the average salary, and they said that if we give the 10%, that would translate into a 10% higher compensation for the nurses hired. So right now, a nurse coming out of college would start at 27 with Beacon. They said they would need 10% so that they could attract the talent and nurses so that they can have nurses in our schools. We agreed, well, we haven't agreed until you vote in the contract. But the 10% would mean $2.7 extra. So that would bring up the first year nurse to $29.70. The average nurse makes $39.50, and we were given the averages. So in the past, what happened, we are also reaping the benefits, before I go what happened in the past, that if a nurse does not fill a position, we get to withhold that payment at the rate of $39.50 per hour. So in the past, they took the yearly amount, divided it by 12, and that's how much we would be invoiced every month. This year, they're taking into consideration deducting any position or for any position that hasn't been filled, should this contract be approved.
Well, the last contract you guys had, I don't know any business in this country that would have paid for invisible nurses. And whoever wrote that contract, I'm glad he wasn't the CFO of this corporation. So you guys corrected that, but you hesitated to, when I asked the question about how much a second-year nurse, you're basically rounding that 29 something off into 30, you said.
That's coming off like beginning. I don't know their scale.
And you figured that the second-year nurse is gonna be 31 something, right?
I'm sure it's gonna be much higher, or a little higher than a first-year nurse.
And if this procedure don't work, as far as my main goal is, I want a nurse there. I agree. The RNs go through a lot through their
Yes.
career, and they deserve $40 or more, you know, and, and I think we could attract them better at $39 or $40, but you said that if it's not happening, the most important thing is getting a nurse in there. And if it don't happen, you said we could bring them back to terms with Beacon and us and try to work out something else on
Yes.
how to attract the people. The
Yes,
nurses,
and
right?
we also have a sign-on bonus.
Signing bonus.
Yeah, to help also attract nurses.
Is that part of the contract? The
It
signing
is part
bonus
of the contract.
for new
Yes.
nurses?
Yes.
And that's like nurses they got that want to come over. That'd be a new signing bonus for us, right? Basically.
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right. I'll probably end up voting on this, but with little quorums on. I'm glad it didn't go to our last guy that made the last contract, but I'm not exactly happy with it. But we'll see, and gives us options.
Mr. Costello?
I'm like Mr. Stidecki here. I thought the presentation that Beacon gave us, the agent gave us, I thought that that top price he had was for all RNs, and then we find out differently. It's only for, I think, 4 of our RN nurses. I'm going to go ahead and support it, even though I think I was misled anyway, in a misunderstanding about it. But the main number one reason why we're trying to do this is to be fair with nurses with their wages. And the second thing is to try to fill those positions. And we'll find out very shortly if it's just going to work or not. Because from the standpoint, we have, 8 positions still not filled, right?
We have 8.
And
yes.
so hopefully we can fill some of them, if not all of them, by increasing this pay and hopefully in the future making it right for everybody. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, concerns? I just have to say that I have to ditto my 2 colleagues here, Mr. Costello and Mr. Snidecki. I agree wholeheartedly with what they said, but the point right now is to getting those nurses' positions filled. But I agree with everything they just said, and I won't elaborate on it. So that's the only reason why I'm voting on this particular item, is because we need to get these positions filled. And so we're hoping that things can be worked out further on. If there's no other questions, Mrs. Hernandez, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Ellison?
Aye.
Mr. Costello?
Aye.
Ms. Lee?
Aye.
Dr. Green?
Aye.
Mr. Snidecki?
Aye.
Mr. Leva?
Aye.
Dr. McCullough?
Aye. The vote to approve action item 910 passes unanimously, 7 votes. It is recommended that the School Board of Trustees approve action item 911, approval of Gibson Insurance Consulting Agreement. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Snideki, second by Dr. Green. Are there any questions? Mrs. Hernandez, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Ellison,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Miss Lee,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Aye.
Mr. Oliva,
Aye.
Mr. Snedecke,
Aye.
Dr. McCullough.
Aye. The vote to approve action item 911 passes unanimously, 7 votes. We now move to board communication. Does anyone want to speak? Seeing there's no one that wants to speak, there's no additional comments. The next school board meeting is Monday, December the 1st at 5:30 here at Brown Administration Building. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please signify by saying aye.
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 The school board trustee meeting is now adjourned. Thank you for coming.